Alex here, welcoming you to a brand new episode of the Houndstrings podcast. Welcome back. It's great to finally be back on somewhat of a recording schedule again. Granted, this is the first episode I've recorded in 2021, so we'll see how this goes. For anyone who is joining me for the very first time, welcome. It's great to have you as part of the family. This is a podcast about knitting, crochet, other crafty goodness. For returning viewers, I will be introducing a couple more hobbies, so stay tuned for that. From time to time, we have music. I haven't been practicing any of my instruments lately, so there won't be any music today, at least none from me. And then it's about good things in life in general. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy. For returning viewers, welcome back. Again, it's great to see you again. It's great to be back. And like I said, we'll see how well I can stick to any sort of a schedule. Then real quick, before I get started on what we're going to see today, I do want to put in a quick plug for my dear darling friend Jessie of the Two Sticks and Strings podcast. We've been besties since we were 11 or 12, and she is such a joy to watch on her podcast. She's very real, she's funny, she's down to earth. And I'm not just saying that because she's my best friend. She really is those things. So most likely you were referred to my podcast through hers. But if you have not heard of the Two Sticks and Strings podcast, please check her out. Something else I would like to add on that note is she is having a D-stash sale. You can find her, or I will post her Instagram handle below because that is where she is holding her sale. And the proceeds will be going to help cover some vet bills for her beloved kitty, Bella. She's undergoing a lot of health issues. The vets still don't really know what's going on. She's very, very sick. And yeah, you just need a little bit of help, and anything that you purchase will go to help that darling little kitty. With that, let us begin. As usual, I have a cup of tea. Today I am enjoying some English Rose tea by the Benner Tea Company. Here's their little label. I don't think I have it set to focus because I have the lighting. Let me see. There we go. The lighting might change throughout, but at least you'll be able to see. There we go. And I am enjoying, I got this, I found this tea at Aldi. And there goes my, there goes my lighting. So let me just go ahead and fix that. That's kind of the downside of recording is I can autofocus on my phone. I can autofocus or have consistent lighting. I can't have both, which is kind of a bummer. Anyway, I'm enjoying my tea in one of my favorite mugs. Y'all might have seen this before, but it says, "Tea is always a good idea." So with that, cheers. Or since this is a pretty little Celtic mug, sláinte, or in honor of my trip to Germany a couple of years ago. Jessie and I were just talking about that. In honor of that, Prost. I love this tea. And of course, English Rose, it has, it's a black tea with rose petals, just those two ingredients. And it is delightful. Alrighty, Alrighty, let's get into the crafty business, shall we? I have some updates on current projects. I have a couple of finished objects where I don't have them in person. However, I have something in my eye. However, I do have photos of the finished objects because they were gifts for Christmas. And then I have some work in progress, some updates on one that you've seen before, and then a couple that are brand new as of my recording. And then some other crafts. Anyway, let's get started. Enough talk. So let's start with the two finished objects that I have. I completed a pair of hats for Taylor's family. That is my fiance. And the good news is his parents got the hats for Christmas. I finished those in plenty of time. I am working on the scarves that were supposed to go with the hats. I did not complete those, as you will see. As far as the pattern, I just found a generic 2x2 rib hat. I don't remember which of many patterns I use, so I won't be posting any links or anything like that, or any designer names or pattern names or anything. But they fit well on Patty's, which is the one with the white as the primary color instead of the gray. That's Taylor's mom. I did a little pom-pom on hers to give it a little bit more of a feminine touch. And then, whoops, wrong bag. And then I'm also working on the scarves to match. Now the one for Taylor's dad is in my car because it is in my take to work bag. But I do have Patty's scarf right here. And by the way, I love my soon-to-be mother and father-in-law. But anyway, the color and yarn, or the yarn and colorways that I'm using, the yarn is by Knit Picks. It is their Mighty Stitch, which is a worsted weight yarn. It is 80% acrylic, 20% superwash wool. And the colorways that I used are all based on, or I picked them out to be based on San Diego Gulls because they are big hockey fans and that is our local NHL team. Anyway, as far as the colors, we have cream, ash, Gulf Stream. It's, at least on my end, it's coming out pretty true to color. We'll see how it comes out in final production. And then my favorite name, Satsuma. And whenever I say the colorway name, I think of the Christmas invasion from Doctor Who. For those who are familiar with Doctor Who but might not be familiar with that episode, part of one of the gags or brick jokes, I guess you could say, is that Rose, the Doctor's companion in this episode, her mother is a single mom and she's on the market for for a potential new husband, or she's always dating. And one of her boyfriend in this episode, granted he's not pictured, but he tends to get a little snacky at night. So the running gag is that the Doctor is in the boyfriend's pajamas and bathrobe or dressing gown, and he finds all kinds of fruit, whether it's an apple or at the very end of the episode, when he saves the day, he feels something in the pocket and he's like, "What's this? A Satsuma! Oh, that friend of your mother's sure likes his snacks." So that's why I giggle at the colorway name. I know that was a very long and detailed explanation, but there you go. So that's the yarn that I'm using. The pattern for this scarf is called Frango Sampler Scarf. And it is by, I believe her name is Stacy Perry. I will post a caption, whether I'm correct or not, below. And she is Very Pink Knits. And I have had a lot of fun with this pattern. And can I just point out how much I love, let's see, I don't have to adjust the focus, but I absolutely love the shadow chevron stripe. And I think in the cream it's just enough contrast where you can actually see the shadows in the right lighting. Excuse me. So that is one of my works in progress and really my only two finished objects in a long time. But progress is progress. So I am happy with what I've done so far. And speaking of progress, I do have a little bit of an update on a project that you got to see in past episodes as well as in the Lost podcast. Here we go. Can't remember if I mentioned the Lost podcast or not. Just in case I didn't, I did record a duet episode with Jessie. No, wait, I already mentioned that. Never mind. Here we go. So this is my Land and Sea cardigan. The pattern is by Andrea Yetman, and it's a free pattern on the Biscotti website. You can kind of see how it's going to look. I still need to do the sleeves, but I will do the sleeves as soon as I finish the body. Let's see, where is my stitch marker? Oh, here it is. So I think this is where I had left off the last time. So as you can see, I've made quite a bit of progress since the last recording. And just to recap on the colorways, from top to bottom, we have, oh, by the way, these are all fingering with some variation on the superwash merino and nylon blend, because they're all sock weight or sock yarns. But anyway, we have Candy Skein colorway Beach Sweets. We have the Shipwreck Sheep in their Glowing Sea colorway. Honey Girl Farms in Days at the Beach. And may I just mention that I love the self-patterning effect going on there. I really kind of hated it at first, but it really grew on me. And then down below we have Ba La Jolla in their colorway called Under the Sea. Under the Sea. I will never not do that. Every time I mention this colorway, you will be hearing that tune. If you don't like it, just cover your ears. And then at the very bottom, the last color will be by Destination Yarns in their Passport Base, and the colorway is called La Jolla Sunset. So that is my progress so far. Again, it's not much, but hey, at least it's there. At least it's coming along nicely. And then that leads me into one of my new hobbies. I have officially jumped on to the floss bandwagon, or should I say reverted, or jumped back onto the floss bandwagon, because I have taken up embroidery and I want to start cross stitching soon. So my first pattern in a very long time is this delightful little wall hanging. If I can find, here it is. I got this from Hobby Lobby. The company is called Leisure Arts, and it's their Coffee Please wall hanging, which I love my tea, but I also am a little bit of a coffee fiend as well. Thanks a lot to my days as a Starbucks barista. But so far, here is what I have. And it is mostly completed. I just have to do the French knots that you see in the package. And then as far as what stitches are used, because those of you who are watching might be familiar more with cross stitch, but maybe not so much with embroidery. Very, very similar, just different varieties of stitches and different fabric that you use. But we have for the leaves, satin stitch. So we've got two different colors for the leaves. For the little insides, we have straight stitch. The stems were supposed to be split stitch, but I didn't read the directions and I just did the straight stitch again. Oh well, it still looks cute. The lettering is back stitch. And then the roses are, I think they call it wagon wheel. So basically you do 5 straight stitches radiating outwards, and then you weave the floss in and out, and it creates in a spiral form, and it creates the roses. And then last but not least, we have my favorite stitch, the Lazy Daisy. That was my favorite stitch of what I had done so far. And then I have a couple of French knots right here, and then I will go in and fill the rest of this with the French knots. So that is my very first embroidery project in quite some time. And then I do have, and the reason I got back into embroidery was because I do have a lot of floss left over. I was also given a lot of floss at various points. But I do have one of my little samplers from when I was little. I got one of the Klutz kits for probably my birthday or Christmas, and it was an embroidery kit, and it demonstrated every stitch that you could use, starting with the straight stitch, just up and down, little turtle, because slow and steady wins the race, as we all know from the fable. Then the little kite is running stitch, which is basically like at least I think this is the straight stitch. Yeah. Running stitch, basically the same thing, except instead of pulling the needle through all the way through each and every time, you weave the needle in and out and then pull the rest of your floss through. So I had this cute little kite. Next was the couching stitch. That was fun, little cactus. Whip stitch, where you do the running stitch and then weave through. Then the rest of this will not be in any particular order other than what I remember to be next. Stem stitch, little sunflower. Don't remember how to do that one. I'll have to look that one up. And then this is the split stitch. So that's what I was supposed to do in the for the stems. But what it is you have an even even number of floss threads on your needle, and then before you pull all the way through, you go back up. So let's say your knot's on the back side. You go up, make your stitch, and then before you pull all the way back through, you go up again and split the threads, or divide the threads into half when you go up for the next stitch, and you split the stitch. Then back stitch, we had this cute little dolphin. Accidentally did that on the reverse side. Oh well. Then satin stitch. Love satin stitch. We have a toucan. And then the last one that I did was cross stitch for the little ladybug. And cross stitch is eventually what I want to get into next. The only thing with cross stitch that I'm wondering about is, I know with embroidery, typically you can do embroidery on a variety of different fabrics. With cross stitch, usually you use Aida cloth. So that begs a little bit of a question for me. For those of you who do cross stitch, what are some ideas? I need some ideas for displaying finished objects. I know typically a lot of folks will do wall hangings. I like that idea, except I'm probably going to do a lot more cross stitch than I have wall space for, and I don't necessarily need every inch of wall in my house, or well, Taylor's house still. I don't need every inch of wall space covered. And also I'm looking for other ways to display my cross stitch. So if there are things that you have that you've used to display your cross stitch, or interesting surfaces upon which you have cross stitched, let me know. I'd love to hear what you've done and gather some ideas. Anyway, moving forward, let's see. I do have a couple more hobbies. I will save those for the end of the episode because they're not really, they're not fiber related. They are actually food related. So stay tuned. And that's everything that I have in progress right now for that. I do also have some acquisitions. I know I've been trying to stash down a little bit, but I do have some yarn, more probably coming in probably on Wednesday. I know, how many times can I say probably in one sentence? But I do have some other fun things that I'd like to share. So first off, I'll start with my yarn acquisitions. Unfortunately, this does come with some other bad news. My local yarn shop, Yarning for You, is going out of business. Sad day. They are still open. I think their sale just jumped up to 60% off. I will be going to visit on Wednesday to see what all is left. But a couple weeks ago, I went down there and I had some projects in mind that I wanted to get yarn for, and I just needed to find the right kind. So I came home with some Louette Gems worsted. I got 3 colors. I'm planning on doing a little cardigan in some colorway. So for my base color, my neutral, I have Caribou. It's a nice chocolate brown. And my lighter contrasting color, we have peach. Not really a pink. It's not really a skin tone. Well, it kind of is a skin tone, depending on whose skin. Anyway, and then I have marine blue. And I do have more than just those 3 skeins of yarn, but I figured I'd just take out the 3 for the podcast. That way everything is still tucked away nice and tidy. Put those back. So that's one of my acquisitions. The other 2 I'm quite excited about. So I'll save the best for last on this one. But I bought myself a pom-pom maker. It's still in the package, but it's one of those 2-in-1 where you have the large and the small. And I know there are fancier ones where you crank a handle and it churns out a pom-pom. I just wanted something simple. So this definitely makes me happy, especially considering that for Taylor's mom's hat, I did have a little bit of frustration, kind of jerry-rigging something together to make a pom-pom. I was happy with how the pom-pom came out, but there was a bit more frustration involved than I would have liked. So this should simplify things a little bit. And then, finally, at long last, I got myself a loom. I do have a simple frame loom that I bought from Hobby Lobby a while back, and I do want to dive into weaving as a way to enjoy some of my yarn stash. But I also wanted something where I wasn't just fixed at one particular maximum dimension. So I actually found this, funnily enough, I actually found this at an antique mall in Escondido. I was meeting with some friends. We were gonna grab some sushi together, and I happened to be in the area quite a bit early. So I did the dangerous thing and browsed the shop. And I found this. I just pulled out the loom itself for time's sake. But it was the whole kit. The only thing missing was just the packaging. Like, it had the weaving, the tapestry needle, it had the comb to push down the warp and the weft, kind of get everything nice and tight, and it had the instruction book. So just about everything that one could need. And it was $5. $5. So considering that this probably costs like $25 or $30 for plastic, I think that's a pretty solid investment. And if I don't like it, I'm not out too terribly much. But this is one where you can actually set a size as long or as short as you would like. So again, I am quite pleased with that purchase, and I just wanted to share that with all of you. And that's it for the regular fiber crafting. As far as my other hobbies, we'll head into the kitchen real quick, and I will be right back. So here we are in my home kitchen, and there are a couple of other hobbies that I want to talk about, food related, but the one that I am most excited to share with you is my kombucha brewing. For those of you who are not familiar with kombucha, what it is essentially sweetened tea that has been fermented by a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. and it is a little bit tart. It is sweet, depending on how much sugar is added at the time of bottling, or also depending on how much residual sugar there is after the fermentation. But it's a probiotic beverage. It's a lot of fun to make, fun to drink. It does have a little bit of an acquired taste. It's a little bit tart, sweet. It can be flavored with a variety of different things, but it's really a lot of fun to make once you get the hang of it. There are a lot of resources that are available online for brewing kombucha, but my favorite is this. This is the Big Book of Kombucha. It was written by Hannah Crum and Alex Ligori, and they are the owners of Kombucha Camp. They have their own website where they sell kombucha scobies, they sell brewing equipment, all kinds of things, tea blends, flavoring compounds, all kinds of fun things for your kombucha adventures. And a lot of people will say, oh, kombucha has these, magical health properties. I just like it because it's tasty. Granted, it does have quite a bit of sugar, so of course, enjoy in moderation. But it's just really fun to make, and if you have a recipe that you stick to, it tastes pretty good. So let me turn you guys around and we'll see, or let me turn the camera around and I'll show you my brewing station. Here we are, and yes, I propped the book up on the toaster. So here, and get this out of the way. Back here is what I call my kombucha corner, or my little micro brewery. And this is where the magic happens. And so I'll kind of show you the anatomy of the SCOBY and the brewing vessel. So we'll start down below. I have a heating mat that keeps everything at a comfortable temperature. Got a couple of thermometer strips, so it tells me about what temperature the liquid inside is, or the brewing vessel is. And right now it's a nice comfortable 75 degrees. That is ideal for the cultures inside. Then we have some yeast happily growing down there. We have a couple of SCOBY colonies. So this is the good bacteria that converts the sweetened tea into kombucha. And you can tell it's happy because we have some bubbles of CO2. And down below we have, this is an older mat. This is a younger one that is forming. And it's weird because it looks kind of like a jellyfish. It's cool, it's sciencey, makes my little nerd heart happy. And then I have another one back here. And again, same thing. It's nice and bubbly. Got some bits of older culture floating down, probably some yeast in there as well. And then this one is actually, this one was actually my original SCOBY that I purchased. I bought it in a kit. In fact, if you want to know, it is Mad Millie, and I got it at World Market. And so this is the original that I had brewed from. And then I decided to do an experimental batch. That is this one that you saw earlier. And this SCOBY, again, that stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. This SCOBY was actually grown from store-bought kombucha. There are some resources out there that say, oh, you can try and do that, but it's not going to be viable because of this, that, or the other. In all honesty, it really depends. So for instance, I'll show you, let's see, it might be in my fridge. I'm just gonna set my camera down right here. Hopefully that'll stay put. My original batch was from a bottle of, or my original experimental batch, there we go, was from a bottle of GT's Classic Kombucha Original. And the reason I chose this, and yes, it does say must be 21 or older, the reason for the label is because they don't, in this line, they don't use any yeast inhibitors, and while there might be just a smidgen of ABV produced, alcohol by volume, because it is somewhere above 0.5%, they do have to label it as 21 and up. But anyway, the reason I chose that one is because they don't use any yeast inhibitors. There are no flavors. It's not pasteurized, it's raw. So that will really make sure that whatever SCOBY colony forms will be viable. So anyway, this was my experimental batch, and essentially all I did was, sorry, there's a lot of rumbling going on. I think I think Taylor's home. But anyway, what I did was I just dumped the bottle in there and just waited for it to keep fermenting and for that pellicle to form. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and maybe in another episode I will go in a little bit more depth. But I will be back for a little bit more. All right, there we go. Decided I would finish the episode outside. It's a beautiful day. Got my hair up in my little wrap. Because Taylor's home. He had to go out. He was working from home most of the day, but he had to go out, take care of a couple of things. So he's back, so I just want to make sure that he has the the quiet that he needs while he's working. So anyway, that is one of my other food hobbies, or one of my food hobbies. The other two, I have been doing a lot of baking. And this is not just because of COVID, although I did start during COVID times, after the flour buying and the yeast, all the panic buying set in, or after all of that eased. But what inspired me to start baking was actually a trilogy of books that my mom recommended. It's the Little Beach Street Bakery series by Jenny Colgan. She's a British author, absolutely lovely. I really enjoyed that series. But the main character, of course, I've got bugs flying in my face, but the main character is a baker, and the love that this character puts into her work, and the attention to detail, the quality, and the love of the food, I just really enjoyed that. I resonated with that. So that's what inspired me to start baking my own bread. I will post pictures at the end of the episode. And then I also started making cheese. I haven't done that in a long time. And I haven't done so in a month. I mean, that seems like forever ago and not very long ago, all at the same time. Anyway, I haven't made cheese in a while, but that is one of the food hobbies that I like to do. But I haven't done so lately just because the amount that I make, I'm the only one that really likes cheese other than like just to eat. I mean, I might bring some up to my mom, but then again, as far as myself and Taylor, I'm the only one that would really eat it and enjoy it, and it just makes too much for me to, just gonna hold this steady. Each of the recipes just makes too much for me to enjoy by myself. But the book that I used to get me started is called 1 Hour Cheese. And I don't remember the name of the author. I will post the title and the author below. But as of the publishing of the book, she was based in San Diego, so local person, love that. And the fact that she goes over everything step by step. She includes pictures of what it's supposed to look like, troubleshooting. She also includes, oh my goodness, it is very windy out here. Well, it's breezy. It's very windy as far as having a whole setup to record. But anyway, she has info on where you can reach her for what she calls curd support, aka troubleshooting. But it's been a lot of fun. The cheeses that I've made so far have been really delicious. The first one that I made was called fromage facile, which literally translates to easy cheese. I think she named that one in French. The next cheese that I made was a Meyer lemon ricotta. That one was delicious. Compared to the easy cheese, it was a little bit trickier, just because it took a while for me to really get the curds to set, even though I followed everything step by step. There was still just a lot of tinkering involved. But in a way, considering how delicious it was, and how even with the experimentation, like, okay, did I do enough? Was this enough? No, needed add. It was just a lot of fun, and the fact that it still tasted delicious even with all the tinkering that I had to do, I would say it was worth it. So that is the other of my hobbies. Again, I don't really have much to share, but I will have photos at the end of the episode. And then maybe in future episodes, there is just a lovely mockingbird sitting on one of the plants outside, just singing away. Absolutely lovely. Just stop and appreciate that. Anyway, yeah, in a future episode, maybe I'll go into a little bit more detail on my processes for the baking, the cheese making, and the kombucha brewing. But I thought those would be fun to share with everyone, or with all of you. Then, I believe that's everything that I've been up to as far as just general life updates. Like I said before, I moved in with Taylor at the end of October, at the beginning of November, and I just love living here. Of course, I love him. I can't wait to be married to him. And in fact, we had a family get together. Yesterday was Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter Monday. Didn't mention that earlier in the episode. But we had a family get together, and I got to go to church for the first, and not have to go to work right after for the first time in ages. My manager at work has been kind enough to arrange the schedule so I have the later shift where I can attend mass and then have a little time before I have to clock in. So that was absolutely wonderful. I really appreciate that she did that for me. But given that I had yesterday off, this was the first time I've been able to go to mass and not have to rush off to work right away. And also, I got to wear my Sunday best. Woohoo! So I really loved that. And the Mass was absolutely beautiful. It was all outdoors. It was a little bit foggy, a little bit chilly. And then the sun came through and the fog rolled away, and it was just very, very fitting for Easter. So I got to enjoy that. And Taylor and I, after I got home, I quick changed, and then Taylor and I went to his family get together. We celebrated Easter as well as some birthdays, one of them being mine, coming up soon. And I do want to show off one of the gifts that I received. This was from his Aunt Bonnie and Uncle Charlie, and Aunt Bonnie actually picked it out. It is a tea growing kit. She was telling me, I saw this and I'm like, I found Alex's gift. I mean, honestly, how perfect. And it comes with a whole kit and caboodle. It comes with the pots, the seed packets, the seed starting compound, the bamboo markers, the guide. It even comes with a little tea ball for when you get to harvest your herbs and blend it into a tea and steep it and drink it and enjoy it. But the herbs it comes with are chamomile, peppermint, red clover, and lemon balm. So this is going to make a wonderful, wonderful blend, and I'm so excited. Tomorrow before work, I'll go ahead and soak the seeds. That way I can get them planted on Wednesday when I'm off next. So that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see everybody. I love his younger cousins. They're still young enough to enjoy like Easter egg hunts. So Taylor and I got to hide the eggs. Get together was at his grandparents' house. So we got to hide the eggs for them to find. So it was fun to see them enjoy that. And my parents got to join in the fun. So they got to meet his side of the family. And they're just the best bunch. I'm so glad to be marrying into that family. And then, yeah, that was my Easter. And at least my Easter Sunday, as a Catholic, Easter is still for another 48 days, which is really nice. And then I believe that's everything that I have to share. As far as garden updates, speaking of, I do have some pictures that I'll share again at the end of the episode. Real quick though, while we're outside, I do want to show off some of Taylor's handiwork. He built me a planter box. I am so happy. Told him that I wanted to start a garden, and he's like, well, where do you want to start it? How do you want to do this? Do you want to be directly into the ground? Do you want it in a box? Just show me what you want and I'll build it. And that he did. We still need to get the soil for the box, but yeah, he did a marvelous job. I am very happy with it, and can't wait to start planting. And I could keep rambling on and on about how happy I am with that. But anyway, I believe that is all for today, for this episode. I think my recording schedule, as far as establishing a recording schedule, I think my ultimate goal is to do once a month at a minimum. So maybe twice a month, bi-weekly. But in the meantime, I had a wonderful chat with all of you. Great to be back, and I can't wait to see you again soon. In the meantime, take care and have a lovely day.